Alright, welcome to the video. In this one we're going to be discussing everything related to a 3-4-3 system, okay? Now, I want you to pay attention because the numbers have changed in terms of the positions. Obviously the 1 is still the goalkeeper. I've moved 2, 5, and 3 as our primary 3 defenders. So 2 is a right center back, number 5 is a center 1, 3 is a left center back. Then you have a midfield 4, and I'm going to show you 2 variations that you can play with in this formation. Is the number 6 defensive midfielder, number 4 as central midfielder, so the number 4 went from a center back to midfielder in this diamond variation. Then you have an 8 as the other center midfielder, and then the 10 as a number 10, right, the attacking midfielder. Okay, then you have a front 3 of 11, 9, and 7. Now here's a variant that you can play in a 3-4-3. So you're going to see that here in a second. The players are shifting over, and what the difference with this one is, for obvious reasons, it's still your back 3, but now you have 2 like midfield pivots without a number 10. Then you have a left wing or left mid, right mid, and then a front 3. Now with this one, this gives us more of the 5 and 5 system, where it's 3 center defenders and then 5, so it's 3 and 2, which makes 5. And then you try and release with 5, which would be the 4 and 10 breaking down the line, with the 11, 9, and 7 pushing inside. Okay, now I would change the numbers a little bit if I was doing this. I would have the 7 wider, the 4 in, for example, or as a center back, and push the 3 on, as an example. Just a little bit different if I was doing this system. So what you're going to see in a second is they're going to return back to that diamond system. And with the diamond, it's a little bit more, in my opinion, offensive-minded from a stance of possession orientation. And if you look here, it's because we have 4 and a central pocket, right? So it's 3, 4, and then 3. The other one is also very, very good, and that one's a little bit more stability-wise in terms of defense, because it's 3 and then 2 pivots right in front. You can see here there's 1. So there's a little bit more exposure to this system if the players aren't more in tune with it, if they're not all adapt to their position. So if I was going to play a 3-4-3 system, I would play the one with 3, 2, and then wider, and then 3 narrow up front. But I want to show you this system because when mastered, I think can be a phenomenal attacking system just because of the central overload, right? If you leave these players on the wings, it can really make the opponent struggle in terms of when do they mark, when do they slide, okay? And you're going to expect from the 8 and the 4 to fill in almost like fullbacks, where they're going to come wide and give options, okay? But they have to be extremely organized in case of loss of possession, because it can lead to direct counterattacks. So if we don't have a good breakthrough balance or breakout balance, we're going to be in trouble, okay? So you can see here in this scenario, I shift the entire team over because that's what they're going to do defensively. We play the ball to the 4, who's come all the way to the sideline, and you can see here the 8 has recognized this and starts to go a little bit higher. The 11 stays wide. The 10 comes a little bit centrally behind the 6, because they should have a pass down the line, pass into the 6, or play back. So there should be a couple options. Or the 4 could even maybe play into the 9 here, which could be a good option. You're going to see here what happens. The opposing team slides over. We play into the 6. The 7 tries to screen the pass out to the 3. And the 6 is screening the pass to the 10, and the 8 screening the 8. So they have a good protection, but the weak side is wide open. So because there's no pressure on this player, we have the weak side wide open. Okay, so this is completely open. If we can play it out here, it's technically 2v0 or maybe 2v1 depending how quickly we attack. So we play the long ball across, and the entire team now has to step up, and their entire team has to shift over to defend. So that's a lot of running for a right back to have to go and try and cover all that ground. So we get the ball out to 11. Now what I want you to notice here is this player played it immediately into the half space. The 2 goes to pressure. The half space again is between the 2 and the 5. So we get our number 10 to break into that space between the 2 players, and there's a great run, right? And now you can see we kind of have the 2 players covering, one of them going a little bit higher. So again, we got 4 getting forward with a 5th trailing. Okay, so the 10 breaks through on that half space, and now we have 2 runners minimum crashing. Ideally, if we can get 1 more near the top of the box or getting in, that'd be even better. But then we at least can try and have some cover with 3 and 2. So we get it in, and we get that ball to the byline, and we try and crash forward here. Okay, we get the ball into the box and through. Okay, now I'm going to show you a weakness from a defensive standpoint. How this system could be exploited. Okay, so hold on, I'm going to pause it here in a second. Right here. Okay, so we have essentially a 3-4-3, right? 3 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 3 up front. You can see there's a lot of space here, and same thing here, and then even in this area, and then in this area. Okay, so this would be a great point of reference to attack from an opposing standpoint. And most teams play with a back 4, so you can see here, if we play with a back 3, we can be exposed very quickly due to the numbers that they can try and put in. Right, so you can see they have a front 3, which means you'd have to go man for man, which you don't want to do at 11v11 just because of the ground you'd have to cover. But at least in this area, you have an overload centrally. But if the opposing team can play direct or play wide and then forward, you're going to have a lot of trouble with this system. So from a defensive standpoint, you'd have to drop your line and try and protect these areas to not allow those long diagonal balls. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Okay. Now, hopefully that makes sense. And if you have any questions, let me know. But I will see you in the next video.